that Venezuela has the largest proven oil reserves of any country in the world. They can't extract properly due to various technical limitations, and of course the country is pretty poor after decades of communist and then left-wing rule.
Is Britain heading down a similar path as Venezuela, with its resources, wealth potential and wealth disintegrating into poverty because of leftist policies? In this video, we look at what happened in Venezuela and responses from some leaders. We also look at two leadership principles of character and credibility that separate effective leaders from ineffective ones on matters of governance. Before we get into the details, if you love diving into political issues and enjoy hearing a principled take on them, then hit the like button, share this video and subscribe to join the conversation. It will help our channel reach a wider audience.
What I can say is that the UK was not involved in any way in this operation. And as you'd expect, we're focusing on British nationals in Venezuela and working very closely with our embassy. And so I will want to talk to the president, I will want to talk to allies, but at the moment, I think we need to establish the facts. I think President Trump is doing a press conference later, so hopefully more information will come out then.
What is clear, though, which the White House has said, is that America carried out strikes on Venezuela and captured their leader, Maduro. Some politicians in this country have already condemned that. Do you?
Well, I want to establish the facts first. I want to speak to President Trump. I want to speak to allies. As I say, I can be absolutely clear that we were not involved in that. And as you know, I always say and believe we should all uphold international law. But I think at this stage, fast-moving situation, let's establish the facts and take it from there.
Character is the inner strength that enables consistent, principled action. This isn't about charisma, but moral fiber. Character prevents national decline. Credibility is earned authority, not assumed. It is what Stephen Covey, a well-known author and leadership consultant, would say, fills or drains your emotional bank account. Credibility is the gateway to legitimacy. Without it, even well-intentioned leaders or governments become irrelevant. Together, character provides the moral compass, while credibility provides proven track record. These principles are essential for effective governance, as seen in how leaders handle critical issues like borders and international threats. Only a government that takes care of its borders, manages its economy and healthcare systems, and enables citizens to create wealth for high living standards has the credibility to talk about world order. This starts with a government's first responsibility, closing the borders to protect citizens from drugs and illegal migration, thereby establishing order at home.
The British Royal Navy and indeed the Royal Marines and other governmental agencies and assets are focused in the area, very interested in the narco-trafficking networks there, have closely worked with the US forces in the region. Now, sources in Britain have actually denied the reporting. I think the first emerging CNN that we had stopped some intelligence sharing. There's still a bit of murky ground there on what the relationship is, but already signs of a split there between the two governments on this particular policy. This step forward, again, it's being framed as being a part of a narco-trafficking network, got to stop that risk. It clearly goes beyond that, right? That's how the White House is dressing it up to some degree. It goes further.
Narco-trafficking, you mean the drug trafficking? Yeah. Just to be clear, the fact that a lot of the drugs are being funneled from Colombia through Venezuela into America.
And that's the claim that they're making at the White House. But I think that this clearly goes beyond that. This is an extraordinary measure that is a reaction to and a solution to something beyond this concern about drug trafficking and about Venezuela's role in that. We've had a lot of commentary this morning already about oil reserves. It's very important to stress that Venezuela has the largest proven oil reserves of any country in the world. The US is 9th globally, 303 billion barrels of oil in Venezuela. Much of it can't extract properly due to various technical limitations. And of course, the country is pretty poor after decades of communist and then left-wing rule.
President Trump is the leader of the free world, not the leader of the unelected bureaucratic world who have controlled the world for decades. His actions demonstrate the character to confront long-standing problems head-on, building credibility through decisive results. For many years, drugs, human trafficking, and illegal migration have been taking place. The United Nations, the International Court of Justice, and other world leaders have talked while turning a blind eye. Many countries, including the UK and Europe, refuses to accept Maduro as Venezuela's president due to his lack of legitimacy. Yet they did nothing but talk, draining their own credibility. Now President Trump took action on a drug problem that has killed hundreds of thousands of Americans yearly, and to restore democracy to the Venezuelan people. While at the same time, most people on the left are crying that Trump is wrong, ignoring how his approach embodies the character to act on principles rather than rhetoric. You can tell by the people's reactions to Maduro's capture, the kinds of governance they like and what they want for Britain. While President Trump secures the US border, demonstrating credibility through action, Labour and Starmer leave Britain's borders wide open for illegal migrants and unknown Islamic extremists to run wild. Prisoners walk free as the justice system spirals out of control under David Lammy, highlighting how Britain's politicians are out of order. We need politicians who believe in democracy and that they work for the people, not an ideology.
Madam Deputy Speaker, Nicolas Maduro was a tyrant who criminally abused the Venezuelan people and destabilized the region. It is no surprise that there is jubilation on the streets because Venezuelans remember what their country was like before it was ravaged by years of socialist dictatorship. For years, the Conservative government refused to recognize the legitimacy of Maduro's horrific regime of brutality and repression, and we were pleased to see the Labour government follow suit. However, Madam Deputy Speaker, we are in a fundamentally different world. The truth is that while the likes of China have been strategic and aggressive in strengthening their influence across the world, including South America, the West has been slow. Foreign policy should serve our national interest. It should be about keeping Britain safe. We should be clear-eyed. The United States is our closest security partner. We must work with them seriously, not snipe from the sidelines. We on this side of the House understand why the US has taken this action. As the Foreign Secretary said, UK policy has long been to press for a peaceful transition from authoritarian rule to a democracy. That never happened. Instead, Venezuelans have been living under Maduro's brutal regime for many years. The US has made it clear it is acting in its national interest against drug smuggling and other criminal activity, including potential terrorism. So we understand
military action in Venezuela on Saturday, and are you confident that it was in line with international law?
First and foremost, UK interests and national security. Secondly, how do we make sure the people of Venezuela get the government they actually voted for, and the people of Venezuela get to choose their future, not anyone else? And thirdly, how do we make sure that we are upholding European defence and security, including our own national security, at a time when the rules-based order has been disintegrating before our eyes? And let's be clear about this. A world without rules is a world in which we are all less safe. The UK supports the rules-based international system. We have seen it creaking at the seams, and now we see it disintegrating. It is our responsibility collectively to rebuild the rules-based international system, because a world in which countries are abiding by the same rules and working with each other is a world in which we are all safer. But we are a far cry from where we have been, sadly, since the Second World War in terms of upholding that.
Venezuela has the largest oil reserves in the world. It was the richest country in this hemisphere, but because of communist left-wing rule, it has become the poorest. This collapse stems from leaders lacking the character to uphold principled governance and the credibility earned from economic stewardship. Sadly, British governments, both Tories and Labour, have steered wealthy Britain in the same direction, with Labour accelerating it with net zero policies, digital ID, cancelling elections and jury trials. Britain needs decisive leaders in government. Such leaders must have a voice of their own and be willing to put their credibility on the line to ensure that Britain will thrive. They should speak truth, say and act on their word, and possess real substance rather than standing on the fence. Above all, they need common sense. That's the difference between a good leader and a great one. If you have benefited in any way from this video, please subscribe, like, share, and be sure to leave us a comment.